All right, everybody, we're back with another episode of the IOST podcast. We have a great podcast here, a great episode to get to you this week. I have Mike Finch sitting to my left. I have Alberto Guerrero Mantilla from IOST Venezuela. I got the tongue wrong. I'm a little bit Spanish. But anyways, it's going to be a great podcast. Alberto, how are you doing today?
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. This is the first time I think that, the EOS node survey nodes gets together, and thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure time to chat with you guys.
Perfect. So we got a full episode. Basically, we want to hear what you guys are doing with IOST right now. We know that you guys had that node with EOS as well, and we want to talk about what's going on in Venezuela. So we have a ton of stuff to get to. Mike, did you have any intros for the community before we get started?
I don't think so. I'm excited.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we want to hear directly from Alberto. So, first of all, the first question we want to hear is take us through the process of going from EOS Venezuela and also being now IOST Venezuela.
Great. That's an awesome way to start. I mean, us in Venezuela and in the organization of EOS Venezuela, IOST Venezuela, we started just as a group of enthusiasts and people, professionals around this new kind of technological ecosystem of blockchain. And then we started to think like, hey, you know what? These technologies have a very important value, in our society beyond what speculation and trading has made of it. And we think that these are actually solutions for the many challenges that we face in Venezuela and Latin America and the region in total. As you may know, we have, crisis and political tensions and all kind of challenges that we think that, just blockchain adoption can solve many of these things. So we started just promoting that and talking about that and getting together and debating. And then we kind of, got into the idea of, we started on Steemit, the second project of Dan Larimer, the creator of EOS. So we were very active in Steemit, and actually Steemit got huge in Venezuela. In some point during the climax of Steem, I think around 10 to 15,000 active users were from Venezuela. And that's a huge community, on a blockchain platform. So we created the Pro Venezuela Witness, that is some sort of, block producer or serving node of the Steem chain. And our idea was, to create community and again, to promote and educate how to use these tools, these technologies for the benefit of, people in Venezuela or people in the same conditions that us. So from Steemit, we evolved into just following the work of Dan Larimer. And of course, when he announced EOS, we were like, we're going to be there somehow, some way. We knew the value of these kind of projects. We were humbled by all the support that we have received as EOS Venezuela block producers. And once we got elected as a standby block producer, we realized the major opportunity that we have in front of us as participants of the ecosystem, but as promoters and educators of blockchain in Latin America. So we created the plan Venezuela Blockchain. That is like a huge vision of how we could use crypto and blockchain technologies as means of development for Venezuela and Latin America. So this is like a very big idea that we're just, connecting dots here and there, doing collaborations, calling experts and people that have great ideas to kind of, come up with a holistic approach, solution, using these technologies to whatever things that we think that Venezuela needs and the region. And that's how we are kind of chain agnostic, I will say. We believe that, I don't understand why crypto projects became kind of like churches, if I'm one, I need to hate the other one. And I'm like, why? I mean, this is just solution A, versus solution B, and probably different targets, different approaches, and different capabilities. So why to hate each other? And with all the success and things that we have tried and do on the EOS platform, then we discovered the IOST project when it was just a project. And we said, like, wow, this sounds very cool, like a different approach to the DPoS consensus, this proof of believability. Sorry, I have problems with that word.
No, you did it.
and it's just interesting. We are just enthusiasts and people that believe that all kind of flourishment of this technology can help us out. So why not help it? Why not foster it? And this is why we are here. We think that it's awesome, all the things that we can do in all these platforms, and the idea is just find the synergy among them and then use it all, because towards the end it's just the same goal. We want to help, we want to use the benefits of it and build a better future.
That's awesome. It sounds like there's a much larger plan to all of this. You mentioned EOS, you mentioned IOST. Obviously, if new protocols come about, I'm sure you guys will participate in that. It's awesome to see kind of a collective effort, right, across different technologies, across different communities. So what have you guys done thus far, and what are your future plans to utilize this technology in these communities to help Venezuela and other surrounding areas?
So these are there are two levels of answer of this question. The first one is the fundamental thing that blockchain offers to Venezuela right now is that right now in Venezuela we have a closed economy to the rest of the world due to political control, economic crisis, economic control, blah, 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 blah. In Venezuela, we have a closed government that we cannot exchange our fiat currency with any other currency. The only institution that is allowed to do that is the Venezuelan government. And of course, they don't do it to anybody and all the time and blah, blah. So right now, if you are, let's say, an NGO and you have some sort of charity work that you want to do in Venezuela, you cannot send any kind of funding from outside of Venezuela to Venezuela. There's no way that you can send dollars or yuans or any other currency to Venezuela. The only institution allowed to do that is the government. So if we are saying that in Venezuela we have a dictatorship, you cannot just send money to the government so they can fix the problem that actually they're created. So Bitcoin and any other cryptocurrency right now in Venezuela is the ultimate way to actually communicate economically to the outside world. That's why there's so many news lately about Venezuela being huge. Like local Bitcoin, we represent about 13% of the entire world volume, and we are a small country with only 30 million people. But the thing is, we have had this massive exodus of people during the last 3 to 4 years. So right now we have this reality that a lot of people, we are outside of Venezuela, finding a better life, finding jobs, finding a better future, and just working a lot to send money back to Venezuela to actually support your family. Because right now the situation that we have, it's very bad. It's a humanitarian crisis. There's no money for food or for medicines. And just 10 years ago, we were in the top of the economy. I mean, we are oil country. We produce as much oil as probably the United States, something like that. So it's ridiculous that we got here. It's something that, as a Venezuelan, you cannot really explain to yourself and even less to other people. So cryptocurrencies came to find a huge solution to a huge problem. That's something that we started, we promoted, and that's why we're working on. And then second, it's about this vision of utilizing these technologies in a better and further way. So for example, we believe that right now with all these conditions, these problems that we have in Venezuela, the lack of opportunities for entrepreneurs to develop yourself as a professional because, the problems with the economy and the restrictions with the control of the government. So we believe that, the entrepreneurial side of the blockchain can be an open opportunity for Venezuelans to actually try to achieve something better than the situation that we have right now. So, we're trying to promote the usage of this economy as a modern, system to have an economy and an international trade in Venezuela. So we have a series of small projects and services that are just, allowing the Venezuelan people inside and outside of the country to use blockchain for the actual benefit. So we have a remittance program that we work with 4 of the countries with the biggest communities of Venezuelan abroad. So we work with Chile, Ecuador, Colombia, and Argentina, helping Venezuelans to send money back to the country. And we use, of course, as a means of sending blockchain cryptocurrencies. We have that. We have an amazing program right now in Venezuela that we channel crypto donations that we receive, and we fund a basic income program in Venezuela. We have a social worker in ground that is interviewing poor families in Venezuela that are just applying through an online form. And we get all these donations from around the world, and then we just channel to these families that receive $1 daily. And that dollar daily, it changed their lives. Right now, minimum wage in Venezuela is about $3 a month. 3.
Wow.
So when you say it in Venezuela, hey, this DAP, this program, this technology can give you $1, $2, $3, $5, it's like a game changer.
Wow.
When we explain, hey, you know what, there's a blogging platform that, for the same thing that you could do on Facebook or any other social media platform, but here you can earn money. People just get like, I cannot believe this. And this is money that I can actually store, maybe save, and actually maybe exchange for, dollars or Colombian peso or something like that. And when we say, yeah, of course, this is crypto, you can exchange it everywhere in the world. It's like, I cannot believe this. And this is a game changer. This is a game changer in so many levels for people, not only in Venezuela, but the whole Latin American region. I mean, we are a region in the world that we've been kind of marginalized in the proper modern banking system. So now when you put all these tools in the hand of the people right in their cell phone, it's like, wow. It's like jumping, like the jump that Africa did from no having landlines, telephone landlines, to a cell phone economy where cell phones is just everything and everywhere. It's kind of like that, being in the financial sector.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, tell me, please.
Well, I was just going to ask, how tech savvy are the Venezuelan people, and how much of the population actually knows about Bitcoin and actually understands what's going on? Because I past, hey, this is getting me money. You know what?
I don't know. I will say that is not very big, because it's the thing. A lot of organizations and leaders, in our community, in the crypto and blockchain community, every time that you try to reach people and try to reach this education challenge to the non-crypto user, many people think that, well, we need to explain how it works and the technical points and the fundamentals of the blockchain and everything. And I'm like, yeah, that's important. But to use Facebook, you don't know anything about the internet and how it works, right? But still you use it. Same with Twitter, same with Instagram. This is the approach that we're trying to get now in Venezuela. We have users that are like 65 plus age, years old people. We have a grandma that is part of our the beneficiaries of our program, and she's like, I mean, already cell phones are kind of new for her, you know. She's not like the most tech savvy, but once you explain, this is just an app that has two buttons, one to receive and one to send, and sending money is as easy as sending a message. And you know, people already that have a cell phone knows how to send a message and actually are more familiar with, let's say, WhatsApp. When you can put this technology at the same level of usage of WhatsApp, to say an example, that's when you get a lot of users. And this old lady, she doesn't really understand what is blockchain and what is a distributed ledger and anything like that. But now she for about 2 months, she's been carrying with herself an entire economy on crypto without really knowing the big step that she's taking. So I would say that in Venezuela, there's a percentage, let's say, I don't know, let's say conservatively, 15% of the population knows about crypto in a decent level of expertise. But now, the thing that is helping us is that you can just introduce these technologies through dApps, through applications that seem like any other application. Like, let's say on IOST. I was talking the other day with the COO, with Ray, and he was telling me like how he's so excited about the development of the IOST ecosystem this year, and he thinks, as us, that all this, you know, adoption comes through dApps, and through dApps that are easy to understand to final user. So he's telling me how in IOST there's an app called Burme that is like TikTok, right? But on the blockchain. To the final user, it's just a cool app that you can connect, that you can do videos, blah, blah, blah. And it has the awesome extra feature that you can have a cryptocurrency and all that, okay? In the end, with that app, you can just come on board thousands, if not millions of users that are not really understanding what blockchain is, but they're becoming part of the ecosystem and adding value and actually understanding more using it than just hearing about it. And that's what we can do. I think that's actually the main goal for these years and the years to come, just to make these technologies available and accessible in just easy and useful ways for crypto people.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's great to hear that it's helping so much in Venezuela already. So understanding all of this, understanding what your goals are and the benefits that you guys are bringing to Venezuela, what do you kind of see as like next steps for IOST, right? What needs to happen in order for things to work well for IOST Venezuela?
Having a DAP that is useful in Spanish. It's not necessary so much like it comes from a Spanish-speaking team or something like that. It's just like, you know, right now, for example, in the entire crypto ecosystem, there's not many wallets that have just an interface available in Spanish. And that, it's kind of a challenge, you know, because for me it's not a problem. For the young population, it's not a problem because you're kind of used to it, to deal with English in your life and in the interfaces of your technology. But for example, for my mom, for my grandma, for the old lady, my neighbor, you know, that's different, because it's different to say, hey, use Facebook, and right now it's in English, but you will get it, than say, hey, this is money, it's in English, you don't get it, but you will get it in time. This is money. It's different. I mean,
yeah, much different.
You want to like kind of understand everything around your money. So
the younger generations kind of grew up around English, whereas those older generations kind of their whole lives spoke Spanish. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. One of the next questions I was going to ask, and I definitely want to get your perspective on it with what we know, but it was going to be around Oasis. which it sounds like from IOST is going to be a big integration, and there's going to be a lot of things on the usability front that are going to, they're going to show up for IOST. But it's funny often how the smallest points are overlooked, right? Like allowing an application to be translated into multiple languages. Here's like step 0 that you almost have to hit first before you worry about transactions per second or exemption of private keys or whatever it is. So it's an interesting point that maybe a lot of developers in other countries who don't face that translation issue, they don't think about, but it's still super important. So anyway, we saw Oasis. What are your thoughts there? It was a little cryptic. We got some information. What do you think's coming on that front?
Well, I think that's actually the real good thing about the IOST project or foundation or team. I think they are actually thinking about coming into mass adoption and how to make that possible. Many of the projects are just like, I just want to have, I don't know, more marketing and more nodes or whatever. But IOST is thinking in like, okay, what we need for success? Users. But beyond just users, we want non-crypto users. We want the people that have never used these technologies and actually adopted. We want to be that. And they're just building the way to access not to crypto developers. They are trying to make their platform accessible for any kind of developer, to everyone in the world. And I think that's actually the key strategy of this project and what can bring real value to it in the short, medium, and long term. If they actually keep doing these things, focusing on just opening doors to anyone and not only the crypto community, but just like being that bridge from the non-geek person to all these benefit tools, wow. And I think that can be very interesting. We still don't know like many of the details of Oasis and how it works and how we can use it, but as an idea, I kind of understood it, it sounds amazing. It sounds, actually what we need to make this ecosystem grow quickly and good.
Agreed. Yeah, it's funny. We brought this up maybe last podcast or a couple of podcasts previously where it seems that every kind of generation of protocol has tended to fix one problem on previous protocols, but not necessarily fix all of them, right? So ETH's biggest problem has always been scalability. That's what EOS ran on, a scalable platform, millions of transactions per second, all this stuff, but have obviously struggled with usability in a lot of cases. So IOST, I think, at least from my perspective, and this is why I'm so excited about it, is because they come to the table looking to fix all problems, right?
Yeah.
With the goal of mass adoption, like you said, being the core kind of component of IOST. And in order to get that, you have to have a relatively perfect product, right? You have to solve all those problems. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, I love that reference where you're saying each one is kind of almost building on top of what the other one did, but kind of, didn't accomplish fully. So I like that evolution of protocols in that sense. Yeah. We have to take a break really quick. We have to, work out some camera issues, but we're going to come right back and we'll see you guys then.
Alrighty, that's fantastic. I think some of those points are super valid, and it's awesome to see IOST doing what it's doing for Venezuela. So as we kind of wrap up here, looking into the future, right? Speculating as we like to do, as we call it. Where does IOST Venezuela seeing all of this going, and what kind of plans do you guys have for the future?
Well, this is the part that I get creative, because future can be anything that I want. So I can just say, I want it all.
Keep going. Go. I want to hear it all.
Well, for the Venezuela blockchain plan, what we are starting to do is to, make a pragmatical approach to this thing about educating masses, because what we need in Venezuela, we have the tools already exist. This technology is available, it's tangible, and it has a lot of uses. So what we have to do is just to put that in the hands of the people that need it. And that's just education. So now, after all this work in community, in providing infrastructure, everything, now I need to become an educator and just to tell people and to say, hey, use it, and this actually, it can bring benefits to you. So we are right now kind of working on curating a set of DAPs and projects and technologies that we find that are useful for people in Venezuela and Latin America. So we're working on a series of videos, kind of tutorials on that. We're working on the charity program. We want to, right now we have about 100 and something families right now in Venezuela, getting the benefits of our program. They actually living through crypto. We got a team from international media coming to Venezuela to actually do an article about crypto adoption in Venezuela, and they got in touch with us because right now our program is impacting on more than 450 people. And that's one of the biggest charitable programs using crypto right now in Latin America. So we got that. After finding that out, the big impact that we have we want to extend our impact, and we're working on an idea that is to provide with scholarships to students, to young people that are probably the future professional generation of Venezuela that can, we want to kind of focus on computer system engineering and all these kind of technological students that can come and actually build something on blockchain, on IOST, and all these platforms that are available. So we want to kind of foster a new generation of professionals in Venezuela, developers, entrepreneurs, all these kind of professional opportunities that can exist on the blockchain. We want to be the motion of that. And so we were preparing a program with scholarships. We already have an incubator, but we're planning to make it bigger to make our impact bigger, because with the little that we have had so far, we have done a lot and our impact is being great. And everything is with the help of people actually like you and many other people around the world that are just like, hey, you know what, it's interesting to hear about Venezuela and what we could do. And many people have come and just help and actually give me a space to talk about this. And guys, I really, again, appreciate this, because this is what we need, We just need people that are willing to share our voice and our thoughts and our plans. And with a little bit of help of anybody, I believe that this can be huge and great and positive. So thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. I think it can be hugely positive as well. For those people out there, then, if they are voting for the IOST Venezuela node, is that going and directly helping folks in Venezuela?
Yes, actually, yes, because Beautiful. That's actually what we are using. Part of our resources is what we're using to, fund our scholarships and our meetups and everything that we do in Venezuela. So, yeah, thank you all.
So how are these Venezuelan citizens applying to be a part of your program? Do they just walk up to your front door and say, "Hey, I want to use crypto and I need it to, help my life"?
No, we have an online form that is kind of like to catch them all, any kind of participants. And then this is a formulary that has some questions about you, your family, and your condition. And after we review that, we have a social worker in ground in the city where we do the pilot program, because we want to, we keep it in one city, in one state, to kind of measure the impact that we have. So we have a social worker in ground that goes and interviews the family, checks that there is a real story, and after that we include them in the program, and then we start to set up all the benefits. Actually, the good thing is like this is a rotating program. So every 90 days we have a new batch of families. So we don't create this clientelism. You know, we don't want people just there just for the money, and just like help them to learn something new and take it with them and actually do something bigger.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure, eye-opener. Of course, anything we can do from Sutler to assist, be it, you know, getting you on another podcast or something more formally, of course, let us know. Congratulations on the success thus far. As we said, you know, if you want to contribute, you want to help out Venezuela, one of the best ways to do it is by voting for the EOST Venezuela or IOST Venezuela node. So it's set up, it's global. The things you guys are doing are really fantastic. You know, best of luck, obviously, in this tough situation, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Thank you.
Alberto, you guys are doing great work. A lot of us are blockchain and cryptocurrency enthusiasts, and we always get up and talk about how blockchain can kind of help the world, but it's often, you know, hypothetical, and you're kind of on the front lines doing it. So it's really cool to see that, and hopefully we have you on again.
Thank you, guys. Whenever you want, please. My door is open for you guys. My time is open for you, and thank you for having me. And I wish you the best also. You guys are a great team and doing good stuff for the community.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
We'll talk soon. Cheers.
Bye. All right, so that was awesome having Alberto on the podcast. It's great to hear about what they're doing in Venezuela. We have a couple IOST ecosystem points to get to. What did you think about the podcast before we got into it?
It was unbelievable. I mean, obviously, I was aware of you know, somewhat of the situation in Venezuela. You know, for a while they didn't have electricity. You know, like Alberto said, there's problems with money and access to food and water because of that. So getting like that firsthand detail from him on what they're doing, you know, and certainly how IOST and EOS and all of these new technologies are allowing them to go out and do this was pretty exciting. Like you said, it's firsthand knowledge now that we can take and spread the word for them, but also to other people. When you get that classic question of like, well, US dollars is stable, why does this matter? It's like, well, okay, well, you know, here's a prime example in a country where, you know, this can be revolutionary and literally save lives.
Yeah, I think it's easier to explain Bitcoin and what the benefits are to someone that needs it, as opposed to someone in the U.S. It's a little bit harder. They kind of have to get past this whole the U.S. dollar is, you know.
100%. And I think we looked and they have something like 2.4 million votes.
They need more, yeah.
They need more. You know, based on what they're doing relative to other block producers, ourselves including, I mean, you know, super important, the work that they're doing. And it sounds like they're going about it with, you know, the necessary due diligence and in the right way, that they're really making a difference and aren't just kind of like, hey, you know, we're producing these blocks, cashing in on the money. Like, hey, we're out here spreading the word of IOST. We're doing all this good. So, you know, it's a continual process versus kind of a, you know, an end state for them.
One of the cool little Easter eggs he talked about was having Spanish translation on those dApps. Not a lot of us think about that, but when you go to these dApps, the only translations, usually it's English, maybe Russian, but not so much, and it's mostly Chinese, right? Mostly Asian translations. So that is a little good tidbit. Maybe we'll start seeing dApps have Spanish translations.
Spanish, French, German. I mean, yeah, it's the main kind of crux of that point, I think, was that yes, the earlier generation, right, your 18 to 28, you know, year old folks, maybe they grew up around English a little more, or they grew up around, you know, whatever a little more. But the older generations, right, maybe you're 30, 35 to 65, something like that. If they didn't grow up around it, it's you know, it's not possible. It's not usable.
Exactly.
So.
I feel that. So we have a couple news points to get to. This is a Boston meetup at the end of the month that we're having. Also a big DAP.com announcement that we were excited to bring you, as well as the DAP tier rankings that I dropped yesterday. And I think that's about it for this week. It was kind of a slow news week. Yeah,
slow news week a little bit. You know, price down a little bit. I think currently we're sitting at
it was like
just
12.
about 0.013. Okay. A little less there. But yeah, big event coming up in Boston. Block Venture Coalition. the partners and team members that have joined Sutler that we've talked about before, are hosting our first event. We're doing it alongside Beam Privacy, which is a really interesting project. So we'll be up there. What we'll do is in the comments we'll post a link to the Boston meetup, and we'll have some tweets coming out about that as well. So if you're in the area or if you're surrounding, you can make it. It'll be April 25th at a location hosted by Fidelity. So we'll make sure all that info's there. You can go. You can meet Tyler. You can meet Matt. You can meet a handful of folks associated with Sutler and Block Venture.
Absolutely, they do a great job of putting on events. We saw them have a Beam meetup in Pittsburgh at was it UPitt?
Carnegie Mellon.
Oh, Carnegie Mellon. Yeah, nice.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. So that's going to be at the end of the month. Make sure you check that out. It will be in the description of the video, like Mike said. Now, we do have a DAP.com announcement to get to really quick. We were able to get into contact with that team. Obviously, DAP.com and DAP Radar are probably the two biggest block explorers. So we obviously want IOST to be integrated on those platforms. So we were able to help get DAP.com to integrate IOST. That's a pat on the back for us a little bit. We're still helping them get enough DAPs. I think right now at the time of recording they have 2 IOST DAPs. We want to get them up to the full 12, and then obviously as it goes on forward. But that's big news. I mean, that's one of the big 2 as far as DAP explorers are concerned. So we were happy to work with Kyle over at DAP.com to make that happen.
Yeah, definitely. I know IOST Korea was helping out there as well. DAP Radar is coming. I know IOST has been working with them, and then obviously DAP Review has been leading the charge on that front. So starting to see, not only DAPs pop up, but some of the necessary third parties to continue to spread the word outside of the IOST ecosystem, fully within your broader cryptocurrency ecosystem. So definitely good to see there.
Yeah, that's timed up well with Jimmy talking about how we're kind of overtaking Ethereum in transactions to be that number 3. So that's timed up well with the use of these DAP explorers.
Yeah, one thing too that we didn't include in the write up here, but it was important news. I don't know if it was in the AMA on Binance or what, but we talked about Oasis a little bit in the interview with Alberto. From what I've heard, that is going to be, was it end of this month or May?
Oasis?
That Oasis is looking to.
I believe usually it's funny because usually when the iOS team makes an announcement, it's end of the month or early. They give themselves a little room.
Yeah.
So I would usually say like early May would probably be the spot that I would be looking for.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, we're sitting at April 16th here recording this, so certainly I like the fact that they haven't just announced this and then like, okay, time to start building, right?
Yeah,
obviously things were happening behind the scenes, and while there is a little wait time, it's not like 2020 or September 2019. It should be this spring.
Love
as
it.
It sounds from them. So
yeah, absolutely, man. So I mean, that was pretty much it as far as the news was concerned this week. I do want to give a shout out to Dimitri. Dimitri's over there in the corner. He was on that call with me with DAP.com, and he definitely did his part in making that integration happen. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. If you don't have anything else, we'll wrap up the episode.
Yeah, I mean, so what's going on with these DAP reviews? Are they going to be coming out each week, or?
I was thinking bi-weekly. So
okay.
I would, for those of you at home, if you're looking for those DAP tier rankings, please let me know what DAPs I'm missing. Obviously, there's not a ton, but I obviously haven't looked at Crypto Derby. There's a couple that I haven't looked into that I need to get onto that DAP tier ranking, but I'm thinking bi-weekly, just so I have like a quality of information.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It'll be cool to see kind of where some fall and where others kind of move up and down the ranks.
Okay.
So,
all right, cool. See you guys next time.